Hey, what's good, my peoples? It's your boy DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. Welcome to this video where I'm doing a beat breakdown of a really dope vibe. It has like this chill vibe, but also an edge to it. And it's more on the hip hop side, but definitely put in the comments to see who you feel would sound good in it, or good on it, excuse me. So if you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats. That's PHANATIC, or Sounds for Producers as well on Instagram. So let's get into the beat. It's definitely a dope beat, man. I like how everything came out, and what inspired it was a random loop that I started with. Sometimes you just need a little inspiration, and having different types of loops and different sounds, and if you don't have that idea, that melody idea in your head, it's always a good place to start. So that's the way I started on this beat. So I started out with this. And you're probably like, yo, Fanatic, what in the world? It actually was inspired with that sound. It's pretty stagnant and straightforward, but let's see if I did anything with processing. I did do something with processing, so let's turn off the processing. And also, before I play that again, I pitched it up a few semitones. So let's just copy that, and yeah, it was 200 cents, I believe. Let's see, paste value. So I raised it 200 cents, which is two notes up, or a whole note, or two half notes. And what I mean by that, let's go to piano roll. Let's choose a different sound to do that. There we go. Like for instance, you go from here to here is 100 cents. From here to here is another 100 cents. So that's the equivalent from cents to notes. And a half step is here to here, here to here, here to here. Basically A to B flat to B, B to C. That's a half step. A whole step would be from A to B, B to C sharp, etc. So you get the idea. So yeah, I started with that, and I pitched it up and did halftime on it, but let me turn it off. This is without it. And also I EQ'd it, just cut the lows on it, because they were like some low frequencies. And when I add halftime to it, it gives it like another layer. Should. Oh, my bad. Oh, I used automation halftime in certain areas, so I'll show you that later. So notice the halftime was off because I used automation in a specific area just for that sample. So my bad. So I used it pretty much straightforward, just pitched it up. So next thing I added after the automation was, I think I went straight to the drums. I was in my vibe. So here it is, the rhythm that I chose. Real like clean, straightforward vibe. It has like this bounce to it, and I think that's why I went with that particular percussion rhythm, because the loop has like a bounce to it. So sometimes you just inspire to make different things, and notice it goes through the whole beat, the same drum pattern, the same kick and snare pattern. And I rarely do that, but sometimes the beat just calls for that, because you just kind of want to vibe out and make it a little more straightforward. But it's also in contrast to your other sounds as well, because you can have a lot of movement in other sounds and have the drums pretty straightforward. So I added this next sound, and with the drums, let me show you what I did processing. I use Fruity Parametric EQ2 on the kick, and I raised the low mids just to give it a little extra punch at the top. And I cut the highs because there were some unnecessary highs that I didn't want. For the snares, these are layered snares I chose to use. And notice, actually, also I use Sound Goodizer on the kick, just to give it a little extra punch. Sound Goodizer is basically a compressor. It's presets from the Maximus plugin here in FL Studio. So the snare, first snare, I cut the lows, gave it a little high mid, and raised the highs a little bit to give it a little crunch. And the second snare, actually let's solo that. It's just like a clap, a delayed clap, and I just cut the lows on that one. Let's isolate and play the first snare. Has a lot more higher frequencies, my bad, and it's crunchy. And this is all of them together. And notice I panned the second snare to the right and also delayed it probably because it sounded like it hits behind. Go to wrench tool. Nope. I guess it's the sound. See, there's a little gap right here. Some sounds you get, wherever you get your sounds, there's always, not always, but some sounds actually have a little gap in the beginning, and it creates like a groove, and it's off center, like it's off the grid automatically, so you don't have to shift it. And I think I picked up on that when I was making a beat. So this is it together. And notice the second snare only hits like on every other snare, just to give it kind of some flavor. So the next sound I had, I believe it's a hi-hat. Let's check it out. Open hi-hat. And see what that open hi-hat's doing? It's giving it more rhythm, like more essence, and it actually hits on the end of the beat. And one, and you see what I mean? So it fills that little groove and it makes it bounce a little bit. And I just cut the lows. So just simple stuff like that, man. Definitely make sure. And look at this huge gap here in the open hi-hat. See, it's already delayed. I don't have to shift it off. That's why it has that. It's in the pocket, you know. And the next thing I added, I think it was another loop, which I rarely use this many, but you know, it's all good. Yeah, this was crazy. It's basically a hi-hat loop that, you know, it has tons of movement in the hi-hat, and this is what I meant by contrast. Everything else is simple, but listen to these hi-hats. Yo, that's crazy. So as you can see how happy I just got, is like those hi-hats are dancing, man. They're dancing in pitch, dancing in rhythm. I think I hear some panning in there. They're very unique, and I put something special in this beat, and that's the hi-hats. It contrasts everything else. And also I added some more hi-hats. They're straightforward to kind of balance the beat out and also give it some straightforward rhythm. So check it out. So notice those hi-hats. I think it's this one. Let's see, pattern 4. That's the open hi-hat. This is a, oh, here we go. I'm tripping. And that is straight on the grid, but I did shift it, see, because everything else is kind of off, and I shifted it to where I wanted it to be. And you know, these elements all together sound dope. And I hear that I can actually shift the second hi-hat a little more, and I just cut the lows on that as well. And the first hi-hat, the one with all the dynamics, I just did the same, pretty much EQ. But notice hi-hats, I pan them different ways. One's right, one's left. And you kind of play with that by ear and see how busy one is or how it feels on certain sides. And also notice the second hi-hat I took in and out here and there just to let the beat breathe a little bit and leave space for the artist. And you know, you got to remember to leave space for the artist, because we're not just making music for ourselves. You know, sometimes, I mean, every project's different. You know, maybe you're making a movie trailer or stuff for TV film, but for artists, majority of us are making stuff for artists. always, leave space for them so they can hear themselves in it. An artist even picks up on subliminal things that, we are not totally aware of making the beat. So anyway, so the next sound, this is pattern 5, and I think there's some more instrumentation. Oh my god. Man, I forgot about the sound. I just cut the lows on it. Anyway, I put guitars, I think because of the plugin said guitars, but it sounds more like a harp to me, and it's a sample based instrument plugin, and it's arcade. Which one was it? Modular swelling, I think. Yeah, particles. Yeah, modular swelling, and you can come up with some cool stuff in there. And there's a bunch of parameters you can change around and stuff, but I really liked how it felt in this beat, and I kept it. And I wish I turned it up more, but I already mastered it, and it's already moving. So, but yeah, little things like that. Notice that's very busy, just like the first hi-hats, while everything else is pretty chill. So there's a contrast. And the next thing I added was another loop. And make sure when you're doing your loops that they're in the right key. So check it out. And notice how those chords fill the beat up. Like, I knew I needed something else to just kind of give it that foundation, that presence, that musical presence. And this loop actually had the key in it. Here we go. Yep. And I found something that matched the key of the beat. Is C minor. And I didn't have to pitch it or anything. Let's actually go to the mixer and see what I did there. Piano, and I just cut lows. That's pretty much it. So the loop actually worked very well, and it looks like I chopped it up. Sometimes with loops you can let's see, let's bring that down. Let's see what this is. Yeah, see how long that loop is? I didn't really need all that, so I just took one simple 2-chord part of something else and just fit it in with the beat. So let's undo that. So I think I took here, let's play this by itself. I'm just curious of what this loop is, and it looks like I took a whole different part and just made it my own. My bad. See how long that first chord is? So I kind of basically sped the loop up. See, and then it does 2 other chords that I didn't want to use. So you can do stuff like that, you just basically edit the loop to fit the way you want into the beat. And last but not least, put the cherry on top, is the 808, I believe. Yeah, so I chose an 808, and here's the pattern or whatever if you want to see it. Probably mostly octave jumps, but some cool stuff. Check it out. Wow. So of course you got to know the key of the beat, but I did some really cool stuff. Got a slide here and a lot of movement in this 808. You notice it's kind of buzzy, and I did some processing to it. So check it out again. Let's play it by itself. Hey. So there's a lot of movement in the 808. It sounds more like a bass. So let me show you what I did processing wise. I just called it a sub. I actually boosted the highs because I would like that buzz at the top, and left the lows average because it had a lot of low presence, and I side chained it to the kick. So I didn't do too much to it. And I believe it was an 808. No, it was a sub, and basically I emphasized some of the highs. So I didn't do too much with it. But notation wise, I did a lot with it. So notice, you know, how busy it sounds with the beat. Dope. So all of it came together quite well. You know, I took my time with it. I was inspired by a random loop and just kind of built the beat up simply and patiently. You know, sometimes beats take time. I don't know. I don't really rush inspiration, but everybody works differently. If you have a deadline or something, sometimes you just knock some out and send it out, you know, and see what they think. But, you know, everybody is different and every moment is different. And I'm not going to get too philosophical in this video, but let me start it from the beginning. The intro, play into the chorus, some of the verse, and I'm actually going to engage the automation, and let me turn on the master effects and turn off some of these well, actually no, I don't need that because automation is on the chopped lead. Cool. So yeah, I'm gonna play a little bit of it, and that way you get the vibe and kind of feel what I did with it, and hopefully you're inspired or learn something new, and hopefully you can use some of these techniques in your beats where you're contrasting like a simple drum pattern to intricate hi-hats to a simple chord line to an more movement in a bass or like a sub bass. So check it out. You got a verse right here. Alright, you get the idea. I'm glad you heard the automation that I did with the first loop, because it gives a nice little break into the sound, into the second part of the verse, and basically the beat builds over time and goes back into the chorus, breaks down again, builds over time, back in the chorus, and it breaks down in the end. So it's like a breathing effect. You know, it's really cool when you can structure beats like that, and I just did a fade out in the end. So it's really cool when you do, you know, beat structure like that, because it's basically in song format. And to learn song format, listen to your favorite songs on the radio or online or whatever you're streaming, and you learn them that way. You count the bars and you can learn how long a verse is, how long an intro is or outro, or vamps and whatever. R&B is a little different with structure than hip-hop. Hip-hop's pretty straightforward. For years it's been 16 bars. I know they do 12 now. I even heard 8 bars and an 8-bar vamp. But yeah, pay attention to your favorite songs and see how they're doing it, and you can, you know, try different things and see, you know, what works for you and your sound and your audience and your customers. So again, it's DJ Fanatic Beats, content contributor for LiveOffBeats.com. If you like to follow me, you can follow me on Instagram at DJ Fanatic Beats. That's PHANATIC, or Sounds for Producers on Instagram as well. I'll check you out in the next video. Peace and love.